All right, thanks, Brian, and we're back with Voices of Montana. We're going to fully open up the phones here in about another 10 minutes where you can call in about anything and everything you want to talk about. But first, we're hearing from supporters of I-164, the payday loan initiative, as it's being described here. If you want to call in about this topic as well and interact with our guests, the number 866-627-5483, or that's 866-NBS Live. And we've got joining us here in support of I-164 is Tom Jacobson, the Director of Rural Dynamics, and also Sam Redfern joining us here on the phone. And I know, Sam, you got to run before 9:30, so cut out whenever you need to cut out. But I want to go back to this question since we got cut off by the break there before we really got to go into it. But one of the concerns you hear about I-164 and about attempts to essentially put these payday loan companies out of business is that, hey, what are the consequences of not giving folks the option of a payday loan? That let's say you're out of cash and you just need that paycheck and you need it a little bit early, and if you don't get that money in the bank, you might be bouncing checks. You might and so now all of a sudden you get hit with overdraft fees or all sorts of other options as a result of not being able to get that cash a little bit sooner. I guess maybe let's start with Sam Redfern on this one. What do you tell folks who say that this initiative could hurt the very people that you're trying to protect?
Great question, Aaron. Most of these companies are out-of-state companies. Most of the companies that are doing payday lending in Montana are out-of-state, and they're pulling Montanan citizens' money. Now, the market will respond. I believe, truly, the market will respond if this initiative is passed, and you will see good programs and good companies start up that are modeled after trying to make it possible for clients to pay back and building good businesses instead of tricky fees and high interest rates. Google's former executive has already started a payday loan alternative called Zest Cash based on his sister's need for quick cash to get tires, which I think every Montanan can relate to. She needed quick cash to get tires, didn't have the money, and wanted to get a payday loan. And he said, "Why do that when the interest rates are so high?" And so you'll see, I believe, a rising up of alternatives. There are alternatives to the payday loan industry as currently structured.
But why force the market? Why force some of these? I mean, maybe most of them are out-of-state companies, but I know at least one gentleman who is an in-state guy who owns some of these companies, and we'll probably get him on the show here in the future as well because we want to hear from all sides on the issue. But why force him out of business? Why tell him, nope, we don't want you to be in business anymore? When people are freely of their own choosing. I mean, we are a free country after all, and why not allow people who freely choose to take these loans and a guy who freely chooses to have this business, why force him out of business?
Well, I'll let Tom address that further, but the initiative doesn't force anyone out of business. What it does is caps the interest rates. That's the counter-argument.
But they're saying that it essentially will put them out of business.
Well, that's their company needs to restructure, and the market will take it from there. We're trying to protect the citizens of Montana, which Montana has enough darn wolves. I think a lot of Montanans would agree with that. And the predatory nature of the loans on people that are getting trapped in a debt cycle, that's what this initiative is addressing.
All right. Yeah, Tom, did you have thoughts as well? Tom Jacobson, the Director of Rural Dynamics?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, first off, it is about 9:30. So, Sam Redfern, thank you for joining us here on the show as well. I know you got to run, and go ahead, Tom.
Well, thanks for having me, Aaron, and best wishes.
All right.
Thank you.
Just a couple thoughts. First of all, I want to address two things that you said. First is that, well, if we don't have this, people are going to go run around bouncing checks. We know for a fact that doesn't happen. Prior to 1999, when the legislation was passed in Montana that would allow payday lending, which, by the way, when they wrote the legislation, they had to strike a very old definition of loan sharking, which is by Montana law, loan sharking was identified as any loans in excess of 250% APR. And in order to allow payday lending to happen back in '99, they had to get that stricken from the book. So we know that it is loan sharking. It's legalized loan sharking. And what happens, though, is people don't bounce checks on purpose. People don't run out there and say, oh, my goodness, I've got to get tires. I'm going to write you a bad check. When people bounce checks, they do it inadvertently. We know statistically, we know nationally from that most bounce checks are in that $20 to $30 range. They're not in the $300 range. So this concept that people are going to not have any options, they're going to have the same options they did prior to 1999. The economy didn't collapse, people didn't get poor, and the bounce check industry didn't skyrocket prior to 1999. There were options. Today there are even more options. The credit unions across the state, there are literally hundreds of offices of credit unions that are offering alternatives to payday loans, and these are $3,000 to $5,000, sometimes even $1,000. The whole idea is to help people get through or get off of a payday loan.
Yeah.
What's amazing is they are charging 18%. 18%. So, yeah, there are alternatives, and yes, if this is such a need, the market will come about and rectify. But the reality is that the nature of the loans themselves. What has happened is, we talk about 400%. A payday loan is really 620%, and that's just not right. It's not ethical, and it's hurting the Montana consumer, and it's hurting the Montana economy.
Well, and in fact, here's what Bernie Harrington told the AP. He's the owner of 6 easy money check cashing stores here in Montana. He said, frankly, it puts us out on the street and leaves our customers with no place to go. I want to kind of go back to this question of the skipped credit card payments and others, and this thought, or maybe to this quote that George McGovern had, the former senator from South Dakota, 1972 presidential candidate. He says, look, well, okay, why not go after the gambling industry, and why not go after? I mean, because maybe that in part is what is forcing people to go. So I guess where do we stop going after businesses because certain individuals choose to not manage their money wisely? Where does it stop, and why not go after all these other industries as well?
I think what you have here is an issue that is more. We're trying to compare apples to oranges. All right, whether we're talking about alcohol or we're talking about the gambling industry. Here we've got a financial industry. Now, we have understood that. On a broader brush, the need for regulation. We saw what deregulation did to the economy. We saw what it did to the housing market, and we're still trying to come out of that. As a country, yes, we understand that there are free markets, but there's also free markets within reign. Credit cards, there are usury rates and regulations around credit card use, which is 36%. And in effect, this ballot initiative just levels the playing field.
Yeah. Well, the government charges 30%, sometimes 40%. Maybe we should cap their rate as well. I don't know.
Perhaps you're right.
Yeah. Well, Tom, we've only got about another minute and a half here, and of course, then we're going to move into our open phones portion of the show because we've got people fired up about a lot of issues this week, and of course, less than 2 weeks before the election comes here. I want to give you a chance here with less than 1 minute to go before the break. Give us your final pitch on behalf of I-164.
Well, right now, we know that 400% interest is too high. We know that the payday lending industry does prey on the most vulnerable of our populations. And we know that the payday lending industry takes tens of millions of dollars out of the Montana economy and sends them to places like Florida and New Jersey. As far as this ballot initiative 164, we need to vote yes. We need to cap the rate. And we need to stop this exorbitant 400% interest rate. So vote yes on 164. All
right. Tom Jacobson, the Director of Rural Dynamics, supporting I-164. Tom, thanks for joining us here on Voice of Montana. Hey, we're going to move into the open phones portion of the show after this. 866-627-5483. Lots to talk about. I know a lot of you couldn't get in on the I-161 discussion. Phones are open. We've got them ready for you. We've